If you'd like to maybe put it in the guest room or the kids' rooms even, that's gonna be a game changer. Now we have your last look at a weekly deal drop from Bell+Howell. It has been so popular. It is a necessity, okay? It is rainy season in Florida. Already, Lou, in the last week with all these rainstorms, there's at least 1 or 2 critters coming in my house because of the rain, because they don't want to get rained on either. And don't judge me, because you can have the cleanest house in the world.
This is true.
Does not matter to roaches, to ants, to rodents, to spiders. They don't care.
No, they don't
come
care.
in. And unfortunately, I'm not the person who's gonna grab the spray or pick up the traps. I don't want to kill things as gross as they are. When they're in my home, I'd rather just keep them from coming in altogether, and that's what Bell+Howell has mastered here.
100%.
We only have 1,500 left. This is the 12-pack of the ultrasonic sound wave pest repellers. So you plug it in.
Yep, that's it.
And that's it.
And they just work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Lou
365
Caputo, by the way,
days
everybody.
a week.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
I just assume people know you because you're part of our family for so many years.
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, and the cool thing about these is, as you were saying, Michelle, that there's nothing you have to do. Literally, you plug them into any 2-prong outlet, and they just start working. Now, really, what these are essentially are tiny little speakers, okay? They emit those ultrasonic sound waves, which are basically just sound waves at a higher frequency than we can hear.
So you hear them right now?
Yeah, no, you can't hear them. You won't hear them, your kids won't hear them, your dogs and cats, your pets, they won't hear them. But the rats, the mice, the ants, the roaches, the spiders, they are going to hear them. They absolutely hate it. They want to go anywhere but where these are. Now, because these are little tiny speakers, because they emit sound, what does sound do when it hits a solid surface? It echoes. It bounces, it echoes. So if you put them in a room, they're not going to go past the door or the walls or the ceiling or anything. That's why you've got to have one in every single room. Now, in the past, we told people to buy multiple sets. That's how you're going to achieve that, right? You don't have to do that with this. Because you've got a dozen of these that you're getting today.
2 packs of 6 here.
That's enough to do 2 stories of the average size house.
We've already lost 100 just in this last couple minutes.
Okay.
Final 1,400.
I better talk faster. So then, but don't forget though, now a lot of people go like, I don't have 12 rooms. You got an attic, you got a basement, you got a garage, you got to put it in all of those places to get that total coverage all around the house. And listen, I know there are people out there, like I was one of those people, I paid somebody $100 a month to come to my house, and they walked around the outside. All they did was walk around the perimeter of my house and they sprayed poison. They sprayed, they call it barrier pest protection, okay? And the idea is that anything that crosses over that barrier is either going to die or it's going to turn around and run away, okay? Well, guess what? I had a rat that was on a tree above my house, dropped off, went on my roof, found a little hole, got into my garage through the eaves, right? Ate through my air conditioning system. One day we didn't have air. We're like, what's going on? Called the air conditioning company. The guy came out and said, you got a rat. And so we had to have the exterminator come out. Since then, I got one of these in my garage for that very reason. But that's the thing. That barrier, even though it was $100 a month, it didn't stop it from coming over it, and they can go under, because they'll go you know, through holes in your foundation. They can come up through your pipes.
That's my nightmare, Lou.
I'm sorry.
Truly, and that's just rodents. Like, think about spiders and roaches and ants.
Roaches come up through the pipes.
These things. These are all plugged in. When the red light is flashing, that's how you know it's working.
That's
and do you hear anything right now?
Nope.
No, that's the beauty of this. I don't have to smell anything, touch anything.
No, nothing.
I don't love rats, but I also don't want to put glue down and make them suffer and then have to dispose of said rat. I'd rather it just never came in the first place, honestly.
No, and that's the whole point of this, is that, you know, you make them go someplace else. And if you think about it, like the way we were all brought up was that if pests, bad, you have to kill them. You know what I mean? That's what you have to do. So what do? The minute we see that we have ants, we run out and we start buying things for the ants. There's crystals, there's traps, there's all kinds of, there's sprays, there's all kinds of things. But this stuff costs money, real money, and this will also wear out, so you've got to reapply, and then eventually you run out. So you've got to buy more. Well, wait a minute. Now you got a roach problem? You can't use that. You can't use that because that's for ants. So now you got to use the roach stuff. So now you go out and you spend more money and you get the roach stuff. And now you're out there applying that, and the same things apply with this. That means it's going to run out. It's going to become ineffective. You got to buy more. There's a lot there. but you got rats and mice. Now we're talking, because when you get rats and mice, we got some really medieval stuff that you can buy. Like, for instance, we got the trap here that Michelle was talking about a second ago. This trap, first of all, these are very difficult to bait without getting your fingers in them. When they go off, somebody's got to empty the trap or just throw the whole thing away with a carcass in it. And then down here, all these other things are poisons, okay? That's poison. These little green things are poison down here. They look like my dog's favorite chew toys.
That's a problem.
Right? Big problem.
Pets and kids.
Problem.
What if you didn't have to buy any of that, use any of that, or clean any of it up?
Right here.
This is why these are such a huge hit. These are normally $60 for 12. You're getting the double pack. This is your final look at this weekly deal drop, not because the week is over. This should have lasted through the weekend. It's because we only have, how many do we have left now at this point? 1,300 now. We started with 1,500 just a couple minutes ago. This breaks down to $3 and change per unit.
Yeah, that's it.
And you never have to think about it again.
No. Well, and here's the thing. If I just plug this in, now I'm not buying the ant stuff. I'm not buying the roach stuff. I don't have to buy anything for rats and mice. Oh, and by the way, guess what's not out here? There's nothing to trap or kill spiders, because you can't, you know? But the Bell+Howell Pest Repeller, that will repel spiders,
so
you know?
walk me through again. When I plug this in, what's happening?
Well, it immediately starts to emit a sound that we can't hear, okay? But the rats, the mice, the ants, the roaches, the spiders hear it. Now, people always ask me, Lou, why do you keep saying the same 5 things? Because we have independent third-party laboratory testing on rats, mice, ants, roaches, and spiders. Why did we only do 5 things? Well, first of all, now notice there's only 4 on there. There should be ants on there as well. The ants, I think, ran away from the pest repellers. But we only did the 5 things because those are the 5 most common, you know, species that people have problems with, number 1. Number 2, it's really expensive testing. So we said, let's just do the 5 that we know people are going to have a problem with. But here's the thing. For a lot of people out there, and I get this, we say, listen, you can't see it working, you can't hear it working, but when that little red light goes on, it's working. Okay, I'm gonna show you something interesting. I have here a device that's called an ultrasonic leak detector. Okay, they use this on gas lines to detect leaks, because when there's a little tiny pinhole in the gas line, it comes out under such high pressure, it actually makes an ultrasonic sound wave. So you can't hear it, and gas, you can't smell it, okay? And that's a microphone right there. So this is going to be listening for the ultrasonic sound. Now, watch what happens. I'm going to press a button here. I've activated this. Every time you see the red LED flash.
Oh, look at that.
Yep. When that red LED flashes on the pest repeller, you're going to see the little red ball bouncing right here. So that means it's detecting an ultrasonic sound wave. Isn't that cool?
And that is the thing that the rats and the mice and the ants and the roaches and the spiders, they hate the sound of it. Think of it like scratching your nails on a chalkboard. You want to get away from that sound, right? Now, your neighbors may not love it because now you're saying bye-bye to all those things, and those bugs and yuckies have to run somewhere. So maybe
they
get your
gotta go
neighbors some too. I'm just going to throw that out there. The other thing I love, Lou, these are very discreet. Like, they look like they could be an
air freshener.
They could be like a doorbell chime. It's not a roach motel sitting on my counter.
Well, let me ask you a question.
So, nobody wants to see that. Or even the ant things with the like liquid inside. And inevitably they get knocked over and the dog sees it.
Okay, let me ask you. Which one of these screams pest problem? Is it the trap? Or is it this? It's gonna be this, okay? So if you've got these around your house, your neighbors are like, ooh, something's going on here. If you have these there, they know there's not. And here's the other thing too, think about this for a second. By the time that I think, oh, I better put out traps, I've already got an infestation,
That means there's a problem.
You got a problem already, okay? When you have these up, you never get to that stage because it keeps the pests away. So think of this as being proactive, and this is reactive. It's way better to be proactive before you get a bigger problem.
And plug one in the garage, in the attic, in the basement, in the kitchen, obviously. Maybe it's up on the countertop for the ants as well. The biggest thing to remember is don't put like a big piece of furniture right in front of it. It's trying to emit those sound waves. And so if you do that, it's just bouncing off the back of the couch, let's say, or the bed. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You got to grab this while you can, though. This is the last look. $39.99 gets you 12 of them.
Isn't that crazy?
That's such a good deal. $3 and change per.
Do you know, so, I've been here since the dawn of time, right? So when I started here, we used to sell 2 pest repellers for about $24.
That's right, and you had to add more and more.
And you had to add more and more. So if you break it down, these are only $3.33 a piece. So think about that for a second. What do you pay for 1 can of bug spray? Way more than that, I can tell you that. And you're getting this entire set set that's gonna last for years. Now, the next big question people always ask me is how long do they last? I've got some in my house right now that are 10 years old.
Yeah.
Like they're still working. I have them in my home, I have them in my office, I've got them everywhere, and these work. Yeah.
Maybe you've got like even a vacation home that you own that
RV,
you're not there.
a boat.
In anything with an outlet.
Anything with an outlet.
Yeah,
a shed.
Really good point.
I have a shed on my property, okay, and I was having a problem with roaches getting in there because it's outside, it's in the woods. There was all kinds of stuff coming and going from there. I plugged one of these in and I never saw another one go in there because it's a small space and it was just bouncing around. Now, speaking of small spaces, if you're somebody that lives in a condo, you know, and maybe you're in a high-rise building and you think, man, I am way up here in the sky, they're never gonna get to me. All the pipes, all the wiring that goes through the walls, it's like a super highway for pests. They can get anywhere in the building, but also think about this. Who lives above you, below you, on the sides? People. And you, like Michelle was saying before, you don't know how they're living.
Yeah.
We don't know what these people do. But I do know that if I put these pest repellers in my space, I've got like a force field around it. It's like a bubble that's going to keep me protected.
You've got the least attractive unit for them to want to run to. And that's the big thing with this. And I love that it doesn't take a lot of effort. There's no big learning curve.
There's nothing to it.
Just plug them in. And I will say, like, if you're used to knowing that there's a lot of pests that come in your home, you plug these in. If you plug it in and let's say you see a cockroach walking by, it's not because they're not working, it's actually the opposite. Think about it. It's saying, what is that noise? I'm out of here. I'm packing my bags and I'm leaving town. So give it like a couple of days.
I tell people, give it a week.
At least.
And you're gonna know, because here's the thing. Like, if you've ever walked into your house and put the wrong code into your alarm system, right? And that alarm goes off, you might try to re-enter that code once or twice, so you could put up with it for a little while, but that siren, eventually you're like, all right, I'm out. And you run outside. You know what I mean? I've done that with my Arlo a couple times, where I forgot it was armed. I walked in the house, it went off, you know, the dogs went crazy. It was the whole thing. But it's so loud that you can't stand it. That's what these do to the pests. It disorients them. It makes them want to run away. Oh, and I'll give you, let me tell you a little quick story here. Okay, here's why you don't want to kill cockroaches, okay? Now, the most common cockroach that we have problems with in the United States are German cockroaches, okay? They are prolific breeders. They have babies all the time. Here we go. Here's the best part. If you kill a female cockroach and she's bearing eggs and they carry them in sacks on their legs, okay? If she's about to die, she will jettison the egg sacs, okay? And they'll still hatch. So killing them is not the solution because you're still gonna have hundreds, thousands of cockroaches running around, even though you killed the mother. It's better to repel them, make her go somewhere else, have those babies somebody else's house.
That is gonna haunt me in my dreams tonight. I never knew that. I never needed to know that, Lou. Thank you very much. One of these is going into the bedroom.
There we go.
For sure. I really hope you guys are grabbing these. That is so terrible. And I don't wanna be the person having to kill these things.
No.
It's nasty, it's a mess.
It's work.
It makes me stressed out, it is work. And honestly, I don't wanna kill a living creature as creepy as it is. Like, I don't want to, you know, some of these are like torture devices where, like the glue pads.
The glue traps for rats,
the mouse traps and those things. I mean, to your point, I would rather take the path of least resistance, where if they don't even come in, I don't even have to deal with them. That's what this can do. You can't hear it. There's no odor, there's no there's nothing coming out of these except for sound waves. There's no ongoing costs of things you have to keep buying. And the best part, there's no disposal of dead pests.
Yeah, there's no carcasses to deal with. There's no odors. There's none of that stuff going on. It really is the cleanest way to take care of this situation. Because even with those sprays and stuff you put down, sometimes they get sticky and they're nasty and they smell funny. And you're not going to have any of that with the Bell+Howell Pest Repellers. You're going to forget that they're there. You're going to notice because you're not going to see the pests anymore. That's really what happens. And by the way, for the people out there that are sitting in their brand new homes and you're sitting back going like, well, my house is new, so I'm not going to have any of these problems. When they built your house, you know the habitat where all the creatures lived? Yeah, they tore all that up. So they're looking for someplace new to move into, and your house has got food, you got water, you got air conditioning. It looks pretty darn good to them. So they want to come into your house. Just remember, you plug these into every room in the home, and we give you enough to do it, you're not going to have that problem.
All right, we have just dropped down. We're now showing you what we have left, not how many have sold. So we're going to be counting backwards. This is probably the biggest bundle I've ever presented.
Oh, it is.
It is a 12-pack, and they're all the same regular size. So you're not getting like little tinies thrown in there and the big ones. These are the regular size. So you plug them into any regular outlet. Great for countertops in the kitchens, in the bathrooms, in the garage, the attic, the living, literally any room. If it has an outlet, plug it in. This is your final opportunity. It's the last presentation. We're not gonna bring this back. You get all 12 of them tonight, not for $60, that's our normal price, for $39.99. This was our weekly deal drop. Now's the time to do it, get it home, plug them in, and you know they're working, right, Lou, because that light will blink.
Yeah, that little flashing light, it tells you there's power going to it, and as I showed you earlier, every time that pulses, you're gonna notice that little red dot right there is gonna bounce because it hears the ultrasonic sound wave coming out of it. And I think that's one of the coolest things.
Final opportunity, everybody, grab it while you can. Lou, thank you.
You're very welcome, Michelle.
Not thank you for that story about the eggs on the cockroach.
Jettisoning.
It was disgusting, but I'm glad I have these, so I don't have to worry about it. Thank you so much.